play the music back. Okay. So hi everyone. Welcome, welcome. My name is Amanda and I am one of the yoga instructors. So today, before I meet you on the mat, I just wanted to read you a little quote that I saw that I really liked and resonated with. It's by young Pueblo, and he says, "It is not easy healing yourself, transforming your mind, building new habits, observing reality without projections or delusions. This is work that takes effort, but when you continue trying, it creates significant results that have an immensely positive impact on your life." So today's flow, or kind of our positive affirmation intention, is all about healing. And sometimes, whether it's physical or mental healing, it really does take time. A lot of people think, healing is this linear thing that we have going in life. Like, we work at it and we try to, heal ourselves. But, sometimes in life, things happen, we trigger and, maybe fall off, but we come back up. But I just want to say that healing in life in general is not a linear thing. It definitely has its ups and downs. It's kind of like a river. It's not always necessarily, straight, but kind of branches off. But to have patience, definitely, with healing with anything in our lives. So with that said, we will start the music and I will meet you on the mat. We're actually going to start in child's pose today. If this doesn't feel good to you, sometimes it's a little intense on the hips or even the knees, but you can always double up your mat if you need to place your knees on something more comfy, or use a pillow or even a blanket. Sometimes it's even more comfortable if you place a pillow in between your calves and your thighs. And if that really just doesn't feel good, you can always come to a nice seated position. But we will slowly drop down onto our mat, big toes touching, knees spread as wide as comfortable. And we'll just walk the hands out right in front of us, placing the forehead, the third eye, down onto the mat. Closing the eyes. And then taking a big breath in through the belly. Let it expand between the legs, like a nice big balloon. And then exhale, emptying it all out. With every inhale, feeling a little more expansion and length in the body. And then with every exhale, just feeling the body soften, settling in. Let the body grow a little heavier. Let the mind grow a little more quiet. Observing the breath. Just noticing the inhales and the exhales flowing in and out just so naturally. And then if it resonates with you, you can set intention for your practice. It can be a positive affirmation, or maybe it's releasing something that no longer serves or benefits you. Or maybe you want to stay with the quote I read today. Maybe it's just about healing, just observing the body, seeing if there's any tension lingering in the mind or the body. Beginning the journey of just healing, of patience. And then bringing awareness maybe to the fingertips. See if you're grabbing the mat, and see if you can just wiggle the fingers out a bit, lightly placing them back on the mat. A little less tension in the hands. Drawing awareness to the shoulders. And see if they're being squeezed together. And see with every breath, you can expand a bit, and then let the shoulders just soften a bit more. See if there's any tension lingering in the hips. See again, using the breath, sending it down, opening up just a bit more, creating more space. And then just drawing awareness to your face. See if you're tightly closing your eyes or maybe even kind of grinding the teeth. And on the next big inhale, just softening all the little face muscles just a bit more. And we'll take another big inhale in. Exhale out the mouth. On your next inhale, we're just going to take that left hand and we're just going to thread it underneath the right. Left shoulder comes down onto the ground and the left ear comes down on the mat as well. Right fingertips can stay reaching towards the front of the mat. Or if it feels good, you can always slowly take that hand towards the low back or even finding that left hip crease. Just a nice opening in the shoulder. And if your hand is behind your back, just slowly placing it back towards the front. We'll slowly guide that left arm out from underneath, placing it towards the front. And then we'll just slide that right arm underneath the left. Right shoulder comes down onto the ground, left or right ear to follow. And again, just reaching the fingertips out in front. That feels good. We're slowly reaching that arm up and then behind towards the low back or even that right hip crease. Keeping with that nice soft flow of breath. And then if your left hand is behind you, we'll slowly guide it back towards the front of the mat. Slowly begin to unwind out of that pose, taking that right arm out in front of you. And then we'll just walk the hands closer towards the knees, coming into a nice tabletop. So fingertips spread nice and wide, shoulders stacked right on top of the wrists, and then hips right over the knees. Gaze is looking straight down. On your next breath in, we'll lower the belly and then open up the chest and the gaze looks up. Exhale, begin to slowly press and round into the upper back, belly to spine, chin to chest. And a couple more times. Inhale, pulling the heart through the arm, tailbone points up. And exhale, nice and big, really pressing down through the mat, doming the upper back. One more round. We'll inhale for a cow pose. And then exhale all the way back to a cat. And coming back to a nice neutral spine, we're just going to tuck the toes under and begin to lift the knees and then lift the hips all the way up and back for a downward facing dog. So keeping the knees nice and bent at first. Pulling the chest through the arms, gaze is looking in between the feet or the calves. And then we'll inhale up onto the tippy toes. Exhale, begin to bend one knee, straighten the other. And again, coming back up onto the toes and then straightening the opposite and bending the other knee. Just playing with it back and forth. Really getting into the backs of the legs, opening up. Just being gentle with yourself. Probably your first inversion of the day, so just taking it nice and easy. Maybe even swing the hips a little side to side, opening up the back side of the body just a bit more. And then we'll find a bit of stillness, getting the legs not super straight, but just straight enough so you can feel a nice stretch in the back of the legs. On your next inhale, we're going to lift up onto the toes, and then exhale the heels down towards the mat. No worries if they don't touch. A couple more times. Inhale up onto the toes. Exhale the heels down. Last time. Inhale up, and exhale down. So from here, we're going to slowly roll out one vertebrae at a time all the way to our plank pose. Nice and easy, kind of like a cat back. And coming into our nice plank pose. If you had to move your hands or feet, that means your stance was maybe a little too short or maybe a little too long for your downward facing dog. But here we are. We're just going to inhale, take the hips all the way up and back once again. into our downward facing dog. Pulling the chest through, gaze is looking straight behind. And again, we'll inhale, begin to slowly round the upper back all the way out to a plank pose. Nice and easy. Gaze is looking straight down once you reach the top. And then exhale the hips all the way up and back. We'll just do that one more time. Inhale, nice and slow. With control all the way to our plank pose. Exhale the hips up and back, down or facing dog. On your next breath in, we'll come up onto the tippy toes, nice slight bend in the knees, and we'll slowly walk and crawl ourselves all the way to the top of the mat. Once you make your way there, just bowing over the legs, letting the heart melt down. You can place a nice generous bend in the knees if you need to. Let the belly match the top of the thighs. And if it feels good, grabbing onto opposite elbows, swaying a little side to side into ragdoll. Just letting the upper back, head and neck be nice and heavy. Letting gravity do all the work to get the tension out. And then when you're ready, we'll take the fingertips back down to the mat. And we'll begin to slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time, all the way to standing. Once you make it up, roll the shoulders down the spine. We'll inhale, sweep the arms all the way up, gaze what's in between the thumbs. Exhale, hands find a heart center. On your next breath in, slight bend in the knees. We'll inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, leading with the chest, swan dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands can be on top of the thighs or even the shins. And then exhale, folding down. Couple more times. Inhale, lift the heart, nice flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Last time. Inhale, halfway lift, really pull, roll the shoulders down the spine. And then exhale, forward fold. Placing the hands down, we'll step back to our plank pose. Stay for the breath in. On the breath out, lower the knees down and begin to bend the elbows, graze the ribcage down to the belly, flatten the feet onto the floor. Imagining that there is a magnet from your chin to your chest and keeping it there, we'll inhale the chest up just an inch or two for baby cobra. Exhale down. Inhale maybe a little bit higher this time, and then exhale down. Last time, we'll inhale into a full cobra if that feels good, squeezing the glutes at the top, and then exhale down with control. Tuck the toes under. You can keep the knees down on the mat or keep them lifted, and we'll press up into a plank pose, and then exhale the hips all the way back and up, downward facing dog. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, gaze towards the top, nice slight bend in the knees, and we'll slowly walk up once again, all the way to the top. Once you make your way up, inhale, halfway lift, and then exhale, forward fold. And then we'll slowly roll up one notch at a time, all the way up to standing. Roll the shoulders down the spine, and inhale the arms all the way up. Gaze follows the fingertips. Exhale, hands find a heart center. Inhale, slight bend the knees, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, swan dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, place the hands down, we'll step back to plank pose. Again, staying for the breath in. On the breath out, lower the knees, begin to come all the way down to the belly again. We'll inhale to a cobra. Stay here if this is enough. If you have the space, really pressing down to the tops of the feet, lifting the hips, lifting the quads off of the mat, squeezing the glutes at the top. And then exhale, we'll all meet up into a downward facing dog. Once you make your way there, again, pulling the chest through, really rooting down through all 10 knuckles in the hands. And a nice exhale out the mouth. Inhale, gaze towards the top of the mat, and exhale, maybe this time taking a nice big step all the way to the top. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. This time we'll inhale, root to rise, all the way to standing, lifting the arms, lifting the gaze. Exhale, hands come down, heart center. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And then exhale, diving down with control. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands down, stepping back to plank pose. Stay for the breath in. On the breath out, lower halfway or all the way down, your choice. Inhale for Cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale all the way back, downward facing. Calm breath in. Calm breath out. Inhale, gaze towards the top of the mat, and we'll take a nice big step all the way to the top. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise all the way to standing, lifting the arms. Gaze looks in between the thumbs, and then take the palms together at the top, and then we'll take the thumbs to the third eye, to the forehead, and then palms come all the way down, heart center. So really engaging the whole entire body, really rooting all four corners of the feet into the mat, lengthening all the way through the spine to the crown of the head. Equal pressure, right hand into the left hand into the right. And just plugging the thumbs up into the sternum, grabbing a hold of that heartbeat. Just taking this time to realign, refocus, recenter. We'll just take 3 cleansing breaths here. So big inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Twice more. Big inhale. Bigger exhale. Last time, inhale. Exhale, let it go. Beautiful. So we'll inhale the arms all the way up. Exhale, begin to sit back, kind of like there's a chair behind you, but there isn't. We're just going to place a nice little bend in the knees. You can go as deep as you want, but you can always just start off a little higher up. But just really putting the weight towards the back. Chest is still lifting up, rolling the shoulders down the spine. We'll inhale, lift the chest just an inch, and then exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands back, stepping back to plank pose. So you can go straight down into downward facing dog or take your flow, your choice. We're going to be flowing a lot today. So if you ever feel fatigued, you can always just go straight into downward facing dog or taking a child's pose if you need to rest. So once we all meet into our downward facing dog, we'll inhale, look towards the top of the mat, and we're just going to come up on the tippy toes and just walk them just an inch forward. And then take that right leg, and we're going to step it in between our hands. Now, if it doesn't come up right away, you can always just grab a hold of the leg and just place the foot there, no big deal. So our left back foot, we're going to spin it down, heel coming onto the ground. Engage the core, and we'll lift all the way up into our warrior one. Shoulders stacked right on top of the hips. That back knee, at least place a nice little micro bend. You don't want it totally locked out. That doesn't feel good on the joints. And we're just going to stay here, really feel empowered, making sure that right knee is stacked right on top of that ankle. Legs are engaged, core is engaged. Nice focus right in front of you. Full breath in. On the breath out, take the hands back down to the ground, and that right foot meets the left. And we'll take our flow. Lower down. Inhale for Cobra, upward facing. And then exhale all the way back, downward facing. Again, we'll inhale up onto the tippy toes, maybe walk them an inch forward. Gaze towards the top of the mat, and then take that foot, step it in between the hands again. If you need to pick up the foot, no big deal. Spin that back heel down to the ground, engage the core, and we'll lift all the way up. Warrior two, or warrior one. Gaze is looking straight forward. Again, shoulders stacked right on top of the hips. Rib cage is facing towards the front. Sometimes we like to kind of go to the right like we are in warrior two, but see if you can rotate the upper body towards the front of the room. We'll stay here for a calm breath in. On the breath out, lower the hands back down to the ground and take the left foot to meet the right. And then we'll take our flow. Again, you can go straight down into face or downward facing dog if that feels better. On your next breath in, gaze towards the top of the mat. Exhale, taking a nice big step all the way to the top. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up to chair pose, just for a breath. See if you can lift the toes off the ground, really rooting into all four corners of the feet. And then we'll inhale, press down to the feet, standing up, maybe a little back bend at the top. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And then exhale, sitting back down into chair pose. And we'll just stay here just for a couple breaths this time. Really sitting back into the roots, maybe bending the knees just an inch more, lifting the chest up. Inhale, lift a bit more. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands down, stepping back to plank pose. And we'll take our flow. And we'll all meet back up into our downward facing dog. When you're ready, coming up onto the tippy toes again, maybe inching the toes forward. Inhale towards the top of the mat and just step that right foot in between the hands. Spin that back heel down. We'll inhale up to our warrior one. Staying for one breath in, one breath out. On your next inhale, we're going to straighten up that front leg. Take the hands and just place them onto your hips. We'll inhale, lengthen up the spine all the way to the crown of the head. Exhale, begin to slowly take the chest towards the leg. And you're going to feel a nice stretch in the back of the leg. Never go past that nice feeling. If you feel any pinching or sharp pains, just backing off. No big deal. But from here, finding your sweet spot. You can always use blocks and place them underneath your hands if you need to. The goal is not to place your fingertips down on the ground and like fold into a pretzel, but just feeling that nice opening into the back of the leg. So not forcing into any particular pose. As long as you're breathing, you're doing it right. Speaking of that, we'll take a nice inhale in. Exhale out. Inhale, we'll come all the way back up. Bend that knee. Inhale, the arms up. Exhale, begin to take them down to the ground. Right foot meets the left. You can go straight to downward facing dog or take your flow. Just really nice, steady, smooth movements. No need to move through any particular flow or pose fast. Just really taking time with the body. On your next breath in, up onto the toes, maybe inching them forward again. We'll look towards the hands. And then just taking that left foot in between the hands, spin that back heel down. Inhale, engage the core, lift all the way up, warrior one. Big breath in, bigger breath out. Inhale, straighten up that front leg, keep the fingertips, placing them onto your hips. Inhale, lengthen up the spine. Exhale, begin to slowly take the chest towards that leg. Again, each side is going to feel a little different, so you might be more open or more tight on the side, and that's okay. It's not pressing past your limits. Just keeping a nice calm mind, calm breath right here. We'll just stay here for one more breath in, one more breath out. We'll inhale all the way back up, bend that front knee, inhale the arms up. Exhale, take them down to the floor. Left foot meets the right, going straight down or straight into downward facing dog or take your flow. Full breath in, full breath out. Inhale, gaze towards the top of the mat. Exhale, step or hop all the way to the top. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise all the way to standing. Exhale, hands find the heart center. Inhale in. Exhale out. On your next breath in, sweep the arms up. And exhale, swan dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands down and stepping back to plank pose. Stay for the breath in. On the breath out, lower down. Inhale for Cobra, upward facing. And exhale all the way back, downward facing dog. So on your next breath in, we're gonna lift that left leg up, keep flexing the foot down towards the floor, so toes pointing down towards the mat. Stay here if this is enough, or if it feels good, open up the hip, bend that top knee, maybe circle around that ankle, maybe roll around that left hip. Inhale, straighten up, square off the hips, and then exhale, knee to chest, knee to nose, pull that left foot in between the hands, low lunge. This time we're going to spin that back heel down. Inhale, cartwheel the arms all the way up into warrior two. So this stance is a little wider than our warrior one, and you can always make it wider if needed or shorten it. Just making sure that left knee is stacked right on top of the left ankle. Arms are nice and long, soft gaze looking past the front fingertips. And with every exhale, see if you can sink just a little more into that left hip. On your next breath in, we'll straighten up that front knee, lift all the way up. Exhale down, warrior two. A couple more times, inhale up. Exhale down. The last time, inhale up. And then exhale down. On your next breath in, we'll tip it back, reverse. Exhale, cartwheel the hands all the way down to a low lunge. Left foot meets the right, going straight into downward facing, or take your flow. Deep breath in, deeper breath out. On your next inhale, begin to lift that right leg up, flexing and pointing the toes towards the mat. Stay here if this is enough, or if it feels good. You can open up the hip, bend that top knee, roll around the ankle, circle open the hip. Just for a breath. One inhale, straighten up that leg, square off the hips. Exhale, knee to chest, knee to nose. Pull that right foot in between the hands, low lunge. And we'll spin that back heel down towards the ground. On your next inhale, we'll windmill the arms all the way up, warrior two. And imagining that there's like an invisible wall behind you, and you really want to press that right thigh up against it. So really taking the knee from midline all the way to the right, opening up the hip a bit more. Feeling strong and grounded into your legs, but feeling this lightness in the upper body at the same time. On your next breath in, we'll straighten up that front leg, lift all the way up. Exhale, settling down, warrior two. Couple more times. The inhales will lift you up, and the exhale will settle you down. Last time, inhale up, and then exhale down, warrior two. Inhale, reverse, tipping it back, and then exhale, cartwheel the hands down to the ground, low lunge. Right foot meets the left, and then take your flow. Full breath in, and then emptying it out. Inhale, gaze towards the top of the mat, and either step or hop all the way to the top. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, root to rise all the way standing, lifting the arms. Exhale, hands come down, heart center. Nice big breath in. Exhale, empty it out. Inhale, we'll sweep the arms up. And then exhale, hinge at the hips, swan dive down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands down, stepping back to plank pose. Stay for the breath in. On the breath out, lower down with control. Inhale up, Cobra, upward facing dog. And then exhale all the way back, downward facing. Inhale, lift that left leg up. Open up the hip just for a second. And we'll close it off. Exhale, knee to chest, knee to nose. Pull that left foot through the hands, low lunge. Spin the back heel down, and we'll open all the way up, warrior two. Inhale, tip it back. Exhale, coming forward, side angle. So that forearm is around top of that thigh, really pressing down, creating more space between the ear and the shoulder. top arm reaching up or arcing over. We'll stay here for one breath in, one breath out. Inhale, begin to tip it back. And then exhale, cartwheel the hands down to the ground, low lunge. Left foot meets the right, and then take your flow. And once we're in our downward facing dog, we'll inhale that right leg up straight away. Open up the hip if it feels good, just for a second. And then squaring off the hip. Exhale, knee to chest, knee to nose. Pull that right foot in between the hands. Low lunge. Spin that back heel down. And then windmill the arms all the way up. Warrior two. Settling in just for a breath. Inhale, tip it back. Reverse. And then exhale, coming forward. Side angle. Again, really rooting down through that forearm to the top of the thigh, opening up space between the ear. And then when you're ready, inhale, reverse. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down to the ground. Right foot meets the left. And again, you can go straight into downward facing dog. You can even take a child's pose if you need a break. So from here, we're going to take 3 active breathing rest right here in our downward facing dog. Again, you can always come down into child's pose if you just need to recenter a little more. No big deal. And then one more breath in. One more breath out. If you are in child's pose, just making your way back to our downward facing dog. Once you make it there, we'll inhale, gaze towards the top of the mat. Exhale, either step or hop all the way to the top. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, melting the heart down. Inhale, root to rise all the way to standing, lifting the arms, lifting the gaze. Exhale, sitting back into chair pose again this time. We've been here, maybe this is our 3rd time. See if you can sit down just an inch more. Really feeling that fire, that warmth on the top of the legs. You can always place your hands to heart center if that's easier for balance as well. So maybe going down 1 more inch. We'll inhale up the chest and then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands down, stepping back to plank pose, and then take your flow. And then we're going to inhale that right leg up. Exhale, just step it in between the hands for that low lunge. Spin the back heel down, and we're coming into our warrior one again. So inhale, lifting all the way up, just for a moment. So from here, you can keep your hands up or take it to heart center. We're going into our warrior three. So whatever feels good for balance. We're really going to put the weight into our right foot, and we're just going to kick off in that back leg really nice and slow. Tipping over. So you can always just come up here, and this is a variation of warrior three. And then maybe finding a little more balance on that right leg, coming parallel to the floor. And if not, no worries. As long as that back leg, that foot is really flexed, like it's kicking up against a back wall. You can always use blocks or books to help the front side of the body balance just a bit more. We're going to stay here just for one more breath in. One more breath out. Exhale, take your fingertips down to the ground, and then we'll just close off that leg. Left foot meets the right. Bend the knees, folding over the legs. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, begin to stand. Sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, coming back into our chair pose. Again, staying here just for a couple of breaths. Maybe lowering down just an inch. Maybe one more inch. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, melt it down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands back. And then stepping back to plank pose, going through our flow. And then once we make our way back to our downward facing dog, we'll inhale that left leg up. Exhale, begin to take that left foot in between the hands, low lunge. Spin that back heel down. And we'll inhale up for warrior one. Just staying for one round of breath here. Again, you can leave the hands up, or maybe they were up the first time. Maybe you want to try at heart center. But again, really shifting that weight into that front foot and just very lightly propelling yourself off from that back foot, tipping over. Placing a nice little bend in that front knee. You can even place a nice big bend. Try not locking out that front leg. It doesn't really feel good on the joints. But really engaging that quad muscle, engaging the glute, flexing that back foot down towards the floor. Opening up the collarbones as much as possible. Finding your focus, finding your gaze. Staying here for one more breath in. On the breath out, lower the fingertips down, closing off that right leg, bending the knees, nice and generous, and just coming into a forward fold. You can come into a ragdoll if that feels even better. Just coming back to that breath. And we'll inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands down, and we're just going to step back to plank pose. And then just carefully drop the knees down, big toes come together, and we'll sit our sit bones back to our heels, coming into a child's pose. So if you want a more restorative, you can always take the knees out wider, but sometimes it's nice to have the knees closer. And then you can even reach around towards the soles of the feet, letting the third eye before I come down to the ground. So every time you breathe in, the belly presses up against the top of the thighs, and it's kind of like a nice little massage. Again, take this time just to recenter yourself, recenter your breath. So our theme for today was about healing, and whether it's physical or mental, emotional, or even spiritual, just taking a moment to bring awareness to whatever in your life does need a bit of more healing, a little more TLC. And gathering all that energy that we put together during our practice, during our flow, and sending that light to any areas of darkness or tension, creating new space for new light, for new energy to flow through. I'm just staying here for one more round of breath. If you need to stay here a little longer, be my guest and just stay here as long as you need. But if you're with me, walking the hands back towards the knees, we'll come to a side seat. And just gently swinging the legs out in front of us, recentering onto the mat. Just letting the legs be nice and long. We're going to come into a seated forward fold. If you know you can't touch your toes because you're tight in the legs, you can always bend your knees or even place a rolled up towel or blanket underneath to give you a little more leverage. But from here, we'll inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, begin to hinge at the hips, leading with the chest. Exhale, let the hands fall wherever they may. Maybe it is the toes, maybe it's the calves, or maybe it's the top of the thighs. As long as you feel that stretch in the back. And we'll inhale, lengthen up just a bit more. Exhale, now you can begin to round in. If you want to round the shoulders in, maybe tuck the chin in, closing the eyes. Just let the upper body soften a bit more while feeling the stretch at the back of the legs. Regulating the breath a bit more. Every breath being a little longer, a little deeper than the last. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, begin to slowly roll all the way up. And then just keep it going. You can grab onto the thighs if you want to, or just using the core. And we'll slowly come all the way down onto our backs. Once you make your way there, just pulling in that right knee into the chest. You can grab onto the shin or even the back of the thigh, or even if you have a strap or a towel, that can also help it be a little more accessible. We'll just hug it in, point and flex the foot, rolling out the ankle, keeping that mobility into the ankle. Then we'll just take the right arm out into a half T. I'm going to slowly guide that right knee down towards the left. Gaze is looking over towards the right fingertip. Taking a big belly breath in. Bigger belly breath out. Twister's so good for detoxing the body. So you want to make every breath count for this one. And then when you're ready, we'll bring that knee back up into the chest, give it a nice good squeeze, and slowly guiding it back down to meet the left. When you're ready, we'll slowly bend that left knee, bringing it up into the chest, hugging it in, pulling and flexing the left ankle, rolling it out, and then taking the left arm out into a half T. We'll slowly guide that knee down towards the right. Gaze is looking over towards the left fingertip. And again, taking a few belly breaths in, really rotating from the navel. And then when you're ready, we'll bring that knee back into the chest, give it a nice good squeeze, and then sending it down to meet the right. Coming into our final resting pose, Shavasana. If you don't want to lay completely onto your back, you can always place a pillow, rolled up blanket underneath the knees, or you can always bend the knees, taking it towards midline if that feels easier on the back. But just finding whatever feels good to you in this moment. If you are in Shavasana, just letting the feet splay open naturally, let the palms face up towards the sky. And then just tucking the chin just a centimeter in to lengthen out the back of the neck. Taking a nice big breath in through the belly, in through the chest, in through the throat. Pause at the top. And then exhale nice and slow. Throat, chest, belly. Begin to relax the toes, the soles of the feet and the ankles. Relaxing the calves, the knees, and the tops of the thighs. Softening the hips and the pelvis. And then letting the sensation flow all the way up through the belly, into the chest. Melting the shoulders down into the earth. Relaxing the arms all the way down to the fingertips. Releasing any tension you may have left in your jaw. And then softening the space between your brows. Letting yourself become one with the earth, one with the source, and one with the self. When you're ready, slowly coming back to the room, back to your body, back to your natural pace of breath. Wiggling out the fingertips and the toes. And taking a nice big stretch like you're waking up in the morning. If it feels good, rolling over to your favorite side into fetal pose. And taking one big breath in. Deeper breath out. At the bottom of the exhale, slowly begin to press yourself all the way to a comfortable seat, keeping your eyes closed or heavy. Once you make your way there, just taking the hands to heart center, bowing the chin in gratitude for not only taking this time for yourself, but for also your practice. And I thank you, just as your body, your mind, your spirit, thank you for taking this time. It's so difficult just to show up on the mat. It's even more difficult to put in the work. And yet you did both today. I hope you all felt a little bit stronger, a little more brighter, and a little more at peace. Thank you so much. Namaste. Well, thank you everyone for coming out today and just putting your best effort on the mat. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, a beautiful rest of your week. Maybe not go out today, at least in our area, it's very windy, but just trying to get some vitamin D, and I hope to see you all next week. Bye, everyone. Bye, Courtney. If I can stop recording.
Thank you, Amanda.
I muted.